Welcome to This Week in the SFL. Alongside Paul Sarp, I'm Cameron Irvine. Season 20, Week 13 edition. 1 week left, Paul. +1 here tonight on Impact Monday with San Diego and DC. Coming up later, we got plenty to recap this week. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing great, Cam. Another exciting, fun week of SFL action, and can't wait to get into the highlights with you.
If Week 12 was the bombshell we were all waiting for to make everything crazy and shiny and new, Week 13 was a little bit of a crash back to reality for some teams, but it was fun all the same. Let's roll through the headlines. First, we start with two teams that have clinched the division. Most new about Vancouver, they have clinched their 5th straight Pacific crown. They're the only team to ever win a Pacific Division title, and Fort Worth has officially clinched the South Division. They take it away from Mexico City with their win, coupled with the Aztec loss. An Apex upset. Charleston tops Arizona. They hand Arizona their second loss in a row. And a legendary comeback, Paul. Minnesota, 15 points in the final minute, stuns Lou and puts Louisiana outside the top 12. What stood out to you on this busy weekend in the SFL?
To me, most definitely that Minnesota comeback. To be able to watch that live and watch that whole game and see the back and forth battle between Louisiana and Minnesota, all for Minnesota to come back 15 points in the final minute. Just incredible performance by the legend there.
So congrats to Fort Worth and Vancouver. Minnesota is now in the driver's seat after the Tulsa loss. All they got to do is beat Sioux Falls, and they will win the Central Division. If they lose and Tulsa wins, it's Tulsa's division after Indianapolis's upset loss to LA. Let's roll to the highlights. Let's go to Charleston, where Kentez Johnson and Jay Hayden got off to a fast start. Jay Hayden facing his former team now as the Charleston head coach. 10-0 Predators in the second quarter. Ashley Jackson is going to be picked off here. She struggled on the day. That's one of 3 interceptions. John Stamango returns it up to midfield, and Charleston would turn that into a field goal. 13-0. Ashley Jackson frustrated. DJ Moses in the third quarter. He'd get it moving, breaking off tackles, and nobody standing in his way. Finally, Arizona on the board.
A great run there from DJ Moses to be held scoreless in the first half. You got to get points up, and DJ Moses definitely did that there.
Johnson on the next drive is picked off, and right here you started to think, Paul, that maybe Charleston's going to give this one away, but Ashley Jackson instead gives it away to the Preds. Another pick and another return for the Predators. Now, the very next play, watch Saren Storm. Haven't seen much of this all season. Get off me! He is out of here! No one going to catch him. Saren Storm, 266 yards coming into the game. Pawnee had over 100 in this one.
A heck of a run there and a heck of a performance against one of the best teams in the league in the Scorpions. And as you mentioned, haven't seen a whole lot of Saren Storm this season, but really had his statement and breakout game here. And I can't wait to see this again. Throwing the defender off him. He said, "Get off me." And just off to the races. Just a great run and a great performance by Saren Storm this weekend.
Didn't even need some of those blocks. That put Arizona in trouble. Now 4th and 2, down 20-13, and Kevin Brackett knocks it away. Yes, Charleston. 8.5-point dogs at home. A 2-8 record up against the 8-2 Arizona Scorpions. They get the victory. Ashley Jackson sat down with Jacob Clear, Charleston's OC and co-owner, after the game.
Welcome back to PGI, where I am joined with a good friend of mine, Mr. Jacob Clear. He is the owner and coach too. One of the coaches.
OC.
Yeah, that's a coordinator for the Charleston Predators that just had a fantastic win over the Arizona Scorpions. Man, I know you're feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, look, I mean, in one sense, it is a really good feeling. I mean, we won 2 on the bounce now. We came out and beat Denver after a fairly lengthy losing streak, then had the bye to prepare for this one. This was, in a sense, it was kind of our Super Bowl the way the season went, and the historical context with Jay Hayden was kind of this was one that we really put a lot of effort into, even though it didn't impact our season per se. It was more so an effort to get some confidence back into the locker room as we look forward to future prosperities. And yeah, look, we were really proud of what we put up, both on either side of the ball. I think it's the first real proper game we saw from Sarah Storm that we have kind of been working towards all season, and that was probably the highlight of the game, was that one run that we managed to get out of him where he stiff-armed Iverson Gamble. That was a pretty magical moment in the locker room, watching that play unfold. And that's kind of what we've been looking for as the season's progressed. It just hasn't quite come it hasn't come to be as to what we've hoped for, but a massive result.
So what do you think changed with your game plan for this game versus all the ones preceding this one? Because you seem to be a completely different team. You seem to have a completely different look and had an answer for everything.
We did. I mean, from my perspective, I overhauled the playbook leading into the Denver game. Prior to that, we kind of kept a pretty similar game plan, and that kind of it hurt us in a lot of ways because we were just not really moving the ball the way we wanted to. And I think that Arizona game is the perfect example of what we were trying to get at with the way we were playing. It wasn't perfect per se, but in terms of the key principles of our game plan, I thought that was what we've been really working towards. And it was again represented in that Denver game because we played differently again in that. But this week was just, we've had a real issue trying to combat certain, particularly man coverages this season, just because our receivers aren't quite there. And so it's kind of been an effort of trying to work out how to fix those kinks in the playbook up where we can try and beat those coverages. And the matchups kind of fell in our favor in the Arizona game. It wasn't to say that Arizona didn't play well. It was just we kind of won the 50-50 battles on the day. And that's how we got the win.
Well, I learned from that interview, Paul, that everyone has a guitar except me. Ashley's had one a couple times in her room in these interviews. Jacob has one. Do you have one in your room, Paul?
I unfortunately not, so I'll
okay.
join you there on that one. So you're
all
not
right.
alone there.
Good. I'm not alone. Skippy 999 Super Chat wishing us luck here on the show tonight. We appreciate that. J-Rock with the love in the chat as well. Smash that like button. You can catch our show and all of our SFL content on the SFL YouTube channel every week, youtube.com/SimulationFL. Jacob Clear said they overhauled the playbook going into the Denver game. Paul, it does feel like a different team. What a big upset.
It was a huge win for Charleston and their organization. And as far as for Arizona, I wouldn't necessarily hit the panic button yet. That loss to Charleston was their second loss in a row. First loss was to Baltimore, and to lose to Charleston, I wouldn't necessarily hit the panic button. Just turnovers were a big factor in that game. Ashley Jackson threw 5, so there's a couple push-ups there for Ashley. But as far as Charleston goes, it was a huge win to be able to, for Jay Hayden especially, so huge shout-out to him going against his former team and former mentor. Just an all-around great win and great performance by the Predators.
So they get to 3-8. They create some positive momentum going in to next season. Arizona, at this point, Paul, all I would be concerned about, what side is Baltimore on in the bracket? Right now, Arizona's the 5, so they would be on the 1 side, the 1-4 side of the bracket, which is not Baltimore's side. So if I'm Arizona, I think I agree, Paul. I wouldn't hit the panic button. I think they're still a championship contender, and they just had a stumble against the Charleston Predators. And to speak on that stumble, see what Eddie Gage had to say after the loss.
Welcome back to PGI, where I am joined with Mr. Eddie Gage, good friend of mine. He is co-owner, he is Hall of Fame strong safety, and he is also the head coach of the Arizona Scorpions that just suffered a loss to the Charleston Predators. And even though on paper the score doesn't tell the whole story about how the game actually played out. So, Mr. Gage, please tell me, how did that come to be for the Arizona Scorpions to lose to the Charleston Predators?
Um, Charleston was the better team today. Um, they made some changes in on offense that me as a coach, I got to do a better job of preparing for. That's twice now this season that teams have made some changes that came back to bite us that I didn't anticipate. And I got to do a better job of preparing a defense to put ourselves in position to be able to make plays and get off the field, regardless of the scenario. And I need to stop being so specific and trying to stop certain things and just be more prepared to have an all-around game plan to stop things in the event that they may change it. I don't anticipate that we got guys in position to make plays, and I didn't do that, and that's on me.
So, Las Vegas is the next opponent for the Arizona Scorpions, and when either team wins, they will take the division.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that the Arizona Scorpions deserve to be the division champions?
First, I don't want to take anything away from Vegas. I mean, whichever team wins this game, I feel deserves, to win that division crown. But if I'm just being selfish for a moment, since, I'm a part of the Scorpions, we work hard, not say that they don't either. I'm sure they over there putting in work too. But I got a group of guys over here and gal who been through it all, and, we've come so close, last season and winning that division title, although I think we pretty much did in the playoffs regardless, just that would be another crowning moment of achievement for this team, considering where we come from when I first got the team to finish 4-8 to where we are now. We've come a long way, and everyone in our locker room deserves to experience as much success as they can. So it's my job to put us in position to make that happen. And, they've been loyal to me. Like I told TJ Punk the other day when he asked me a question about something. He's always been loyal to me, so I got to be loyal to him when he needed me. So I try to return that to you guys, and, you guys have been good to me. And I just try to pay it back to y'all. So there you have it. I love y'all, Arizona, for real.
Arizona will have a chance to clinch the West with a win over Vegas next week. Back to the highlights of teams that have clinched divisions. Jay-Z Bacon going nearly untouched, 65 yards in the first 2 minutes of this game, and you thought the Toros were going to run away with it. Jay-Z feeling it, pointing to the crowd. Yeah, that's right. The South winners, of course, didn't know it at the time, but certainly took care of business. Bacon puts them up 7-0, now 7-7. Stephen Hacker says get off and into the ground. King Rashid, who was quiet on this day, no picks. Still trying to lead the league, set a record for 21-10, Motor City down. Ibrahim Krieta taking off and running, giving us a preview of this summer perhaps. Gets it inside the 10-yard line now. Krieta on 3rd down and goal. Pretty ball right over the outstretched arms of the defense. Shane Kaufman with the score. Motor City down just 4.
That was a beautiful pass there, right over the defender, to be able to get back within a one-possession score in this game, as we see Krieta just lofted over the defender for an absolutely perfect pass there to score a touchdown there.
21-17, now 3:08 to go in the fourth quarter, same score. Motor City driving, and the pass is overthrown. Delaney Nash, who's had pick sixes back-to-back weeks, steals one, puts Motor City in a very difficult position. They would get the ball back, though. 2 minutes left, 21-17. Krieta steps up in the pocket on 4th down. That is caught, 1st down. V8s keep the drive alive, 10.5-point dogs. They almost got it against the Toros. From the Fort Worth 36, Krieta with the pump fake, freezes the safety down the field, down to the 4-yard line. Shane Kaufman again. Motor City with another opportunity to win this football game. Kaufman terrific again. Krieta is sacked. That sack by Luther Gahn, his second of 2 sacks on the day. Now 3rd and goal from the 11. And Creator's pass is intercepted by Delaney Nash. He stole 2 in the 4th quarter, and Fort Worth improves to 8-3. They win 21-17. They clinched thanks in part to Mexico City's loss, 38-21 to the London Knights. Johnny Pickler was terrific, 27-33, 345 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Merrill was contained, but they couldn't keep him out of the end zone. 3 TDs there. They scored on 6 of their 9 drives. They did not turn the ball over. They were super efficient. Meanwhile, Mexico City bottled up in the run game. Talking to Ramos after the game, it was just not being able to convert 3rd downs, being in 3rd down too much, Paul, and sometimes that's just the way the game goes. Ramos said he didn't feel like his team played badly, just couldn't get it done. I mean, Sipe, good numbers, spread the ball around, everybody had a touchdown, but not to be on this one.
Yeah, looking at the numbers, definitely doesn't look as lopsided as the score may show. To me, Mexico City just couldn't get the run game going, and they just couldn't stop London's high-flying offense. London scored over 30 time after time this season. I believe they're the highest-scoring team in the SFL to this point, and when you're Johnny Pickler and you're only throwing 5 incompletions, it's going to be tough to beat London when your quarterback's playing that good. It's just that was a great win from London.
When your quarterback's feeling good or playing good, he's feeling good. Pickler, the first time this season, sat down with another future Hall of Fame quarterback, Ashley Jackson.
Welcome back to PGI, where I am joined with yet another good friend of mine, Mr. Johnny Pickner. He is GM as well as quarterback, and I think future Hall of Fame quarterback at that, of the London Knights. How are you doing?
Doing good, Ashley. Thanks for having me.
Hey, always. You guys did have a fantastic win over the Mexico City Aztecs in a dominating fashion. So how does it feel to win over one of the cornerstone teams of the league?
Any win's a good win. Mexico City, they're definitely a respectable organization. Ramos, you can never sleep on him and what he puts out there. I think a lot of teams thought they were going to be down this year, losing the legendary Matt Wilson and Mike Daggs out there on the offensive side of the ball, but they seem to pick up right where they left off, and they're a contender again. We went into that game thinking that we were the favorites in that game. I mean, the game was at Queensway. It's a really special place to play, and I think that's our 16th consecutive win at home during the regular season at Queensway. So special place to play. The fans always have our back, and we're always going to be confident and feel like favorites when we walk out in that stadium. And we executed in every facet of the game. So that's what you love to see. Coming off a rough loss last week, getting ready, gearing up for playoffs. You want to see your team execute on both sides of the ball and all facets of the game, and that's exactly what we did. So just to see that level of execution is good for our confidence going into the dance in a few weeks.
Indeed. So Johnny, tell me, you and I are close. So have you heard any criticism in regards to London ruling over a quote unquote weak division?
Yeah, I've heard criticism. I think I've given criticism. It is, the other 3 teams are weak teams. It is what it is. Every franchise in this league is at a different stage. Some teams are in a compete to win now stage. Some teams are in rebuilding stages, retooling, resetting, whatever you want to call it. Some guys are kind of stuck in purgatory in the middle, don't know, if they should sell or buy or, quit or compete for it all, and we know that we're coming into the last couple seasons, we're a contender, and we're playing to win now and to chase a championship. And the other 3 franchises that are in this division, they're just not there. And I've been one of the most critical, of stating the obvious. It's a weak division. That's why I said it's our division before the season even started. I said winning this division doesn't mean much to us. We have our goals set higher than that, But yeah, I don't. If the question is, do I care if people call the division weak? It is what it is. Don't call London weak. That'd just be a mistake. But yeah, do we have the luxury of a free ticket to the playoffs, sure, and other teams like Vancouver and and other teams in history have had that in their divisions. It doesn't mean that they're not a contender come playoff time. So it is what it is, and then you look at our resume. I mean, the fact is, we may have a free division or a free ticket to the playoffs because of how weak the other three teams are, and it just is what it is. But I mean, we beat a Las Vegas, and look at what Las Vegas is doing. We just destroyed Mexico City, and Mexico City is Mexico City. We beat Alamo City, So I mean, I'm not going to list our resume, but we have high quality wins, and so our wins just don't come against division opponents.
That strength of victory, 429 for London. That's good for upper half of the league. London keeps winning. Mexico City, though, is not, Paul, and this team has a potential. It really does exist of missing the playoffs for the first time in 14 seasons. If they lose to Fort Worth, who they just got beat badly by a few weeks ago, if they lose to Fort Worth, they're in trouble depending upon who wins in Week 14. I can't even imagine a playoffs without Mexico City in it at this point.
Yeah, it would definitely be something we're not used to seeing. As far as their team franchise history, they're first in total wins in SFL history with 125, first in home wins with 80. They've only had one season below 500% winning percentage dating back to season 6, their second season in the league. They just didn't have an answer this weekend for London, and if they go next week and play the same type of football they played against Fort Worth just a few weeks ago, we might be seeing a playoffs without Mexico City in it. And as you mentioned, Cam, definitely would be strange.
Jordan Sipe took on a huge burden, taking over for Matt Wilson this season. You can tell they're trying to figure out where their offense sits without a Mike Daggs, and without that talent from Matt Wilson. But Jordan Sipe has plenty of arm, plenty of talent. They have a great run game. Of course, that was one of the reasons why they couldn't get things moving against the London Knights, because that run game was struggling. They kind of, Paul, they remind me a little bit of Tulsa in the sense that if you can stop their run game and make them pass more than they want to, keep them behind the sticks, then you can get into a bit of trouble. And speaking of Jordan Sipe, for the first time again this season, we get a chance to hear what Jordan Sipe has to say about the Mexico City season so far, what's to come next week.
Welcome back to PGI, where I am joined with a good friend of mine, Mr. Jordan Sipe. He is the quarterback for the Mexico City Aztecs. Man, it's been a while. How have you been?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. Always good to see you, man. You've been in the league, and I've seen you, go through your ups and downs, and it looks like you have finally found a team where your player can grow in a positive manner. Now, this recent loss to London, guys made a valiant effort in trying to come back, but it looks like it was a little bit too late. But I want to know from you, though, how has your time in Mexico City been? Because I'm looking at your players' progressions. I'm looking at your players' performance on the field, and it seems to be a world of difference than it was over in Jacksonville. So how have you been over there?
I just love being in Mexico City. I mean, just going into the locker room, it's one of a kind, and everybody acknowledges that it truly is one of a kind. I'm sure there's not a lot of locker rooms that are quite like ours. There's a lot of inside jokes, but even for me being my first year there, it doesn't seem like any of the inside jokes are too foreign to me. Like they say some things and I'm like, wow, yeah, I can tell these guys have been together for a while. I can tell they truly love and appreciate being in this locker room together. It's just a fantastic experience.
Good to hear. That is good to hear. And how far do you think that Mexico City is going to go into the playoffs?
Wow. We have shown a lot of promise. The quarterback issue that we had last year, that I had last year. Interceptions, it's minimal. Our defensive line is just absolutely ridiculous. They just get sacks all the time. I think a couple of them had 5 sacks each in one of the games. It's just crazy. We have such a great team, and even though we lost 2 out of the last 3 games, we have so much promise that any single game we can win, and we know it. We go in knowing that that the odds are never completely stacked against us, and so I think we could realistically go all the way. Whether or not we will, I'm not saying. I'm not saying if we will. But we really could. I mean, we have that defensive piece that can stop anybody on a good day. So, London had our number on offense and defense. So, congrats to them. They did just an awesome job. So, but we really could. And Ramos is just brilliant in what he does. So we know we're never counted out.
Well, you had big shoes to fill with Matt Wilson, and I think that you've been doing exceptionally well. I think you surpassed other people's expectations and probably your own. And so I want to congratulate you on it. And you guys you have the hearts of warriors. And so I can definitely see you taking a deep run into the playoffs. And Jordan, I wish you guys the best of luck, you and the entire Mexico City crew. And can't wait to see what you guys got going on for the rest of the season.
Thanks, AJ. You too.
All right. See you soon. Cam, Paul, back to you.
Thanks, Ashley. Jordan Sipe seems like a good dude. Haven't gotten to meet him in person yet. Maybe we'll see him at the 2023 convention in Cincinnati. Big game for Mexico City next week. All right, let's get back to division clinchers. So Fort Worth takes care of the South with their win and Mexico City's loss. Vancouver trying to clinch the Pacific. They needed a win or a Portland loss. Kingston Ellington gets the offense going. O.J. Bruin started 6 for 6 in this game, but that is not how he would finish. 13-7. We flash forward to the fourth quarter, and Cabrian Womack is getting sacks. Makes it 3rd and long. Now 3:35 to go in the fourth. It's still the same score, Paul. This game was a slugfest all the way through, but these type of plays are the difference makers. Justice Blackwell all alone for the touchdown. I don't know how Jacksonville holds Vancouver to no touchdowns after the opening drive and then just gives up a cheap one like that. Definition of their season.
Yeah, that was a tough touchdown to let up after playing exceptional defense all game long against one of the best offenses in the league, and Vancouver just capitalizes on that moment. We've seen Justice Blackwell on the Impact Monday show a few times this season and helps his team there on that play score 6 points.
So 20-7, last chance for Jacksonville. Bruin steps up, he's sacked again, taken down by Womack. And Bruin doesn't know where he is. 3rd and 17, 3 minutes to go. Jacksonville started 2-0. They have lost 9 straight. Drew Hamilton with the interception. That's his second of the day. Vancouver wins 23-7 to Minnesota, where we had maybe one of the most exciting games, if not the most exciting game of the week. That is a touchdown for Jay Taylor from Johnny Reno. 7-3 in the second quarter. Chris Komisak scores. Early on, it was Minnesota getting touchdown, Louisiana getting field goals in the inside the 10-yard line, and that would be the difference in the game. 3rd down and 10 at the 15. That pass called in as Louisiana puts 6 on the board this time. Lyric Da Vinci with the score. 17-9 now in the third, and Tommy Utah's throwing it up to Lyric Da Vinci. Jump man. 1st and goal at the 5.
Lyric Da Vinci having himself a game here, making catches all over the field. Tommy Utah throwing darts to him, and this one he just threw it up for him. And when you have a receiver like Da Vinci on your team, it doesn't matter how many defenders are on him.
But here's the problem. Off that touchdown, they had the extra point block. Now 3rd and goal from the Minnesota 1, and Squarebush can't get in, so they'd have to settle for another field goal and make it 17-12. That is, I'm counting 7 points left off the board in the red zone at this point. Now the fourth quarter, 3rd down and 5. Who needs the red zone? Just chuck it to Lyric, who's out of here and gives Louisiana the lead. And for the first time on this night, Minnesota started to think, oh man, I don't know if we're going to pull this out.
And a heck of a job from Louisiana, staying in it, taking all the points that they can get with field goals, and then taking a deep shot like that to give your team a lead.
Jason France on 4th down hauls it into the Louisiana 26. Second to go from the 10. Quag Mam on the ensuing drive gives Minnesota the lead. Louisiana lets him get down the field in 9 or 10 plays and get the touchdown. Quag Mam has been clutch late in games. There you see Reno, 35 of 44, 315. And on the 2-point conversion, it's Colin Hart. Good, 25-22. Minnesota comes from behind, so that's 8 points in the final minute. How in the world would they get more? Well, next play. Off the return from Hammer. I don't know why you're play actioning with 26 seconds to go. No one's fooled by that. And Minnesota takes it back. A pick six gives the Legend a 32-22 victory over Louisiana. And yeah, that route was never open from the start. Looking for Reggio De Niro. Minnesota with the win. Now to Sioux Falls, where it was the Jason Williams show. This dude was ridiculous. He did absolutely everything in this game. 13-3 in the second. Ezekiel Love struggling early. Fumbles picked up by the Sparrows. They only turned it into a field goal, Paul, but Sioux Falls set the tone for this game early.
Yeah, when you're going up against a workhorse in Ezekiel Love, you got to tailor your defense to try and stop him, and Ezekiel Love fumbling is a little unexpected, but great job from the defense to force that fumble there.
Fargo held him up, and Ringgold shut him down. Ezekiel Love would bounce back, though. Back-to-back touchdowns, and hey, don't look now, but Portland has the lead. Too much Jason Williams. Off the right side, breaks a tackle and is in. Gives Sioux Falls back the lead in the third quarter. There was no second half dip for Sioux Falls in this one. 23-17, 3rd and goal from the 4. Critical play in the game. Israel Adams is out of bounds. That could have given Portland back the lead. Instead, they had to settle for a field goal and make it 23-20. Joey Robb regretfully coming back out there. Swing City in this one, 24 receptions for Jason Williams.
Wow.
That's kind of boring for the viewers, but it worked out for Sioux Falls to stay alive in the playoffs. And when Jason Williams wasn't doing amazing things, it was Noe Terrasas over the top. Tyree making things happen, and Sioux Falls starting to pull away. Another Jason Williams run here. He'd finish off the drive. I mean, this dude was just ridiculous all day.
And that is exactly why Sioux Falls went after Jason Williams this offseason to bring him in. And kudos to Williams for the performance that he put up this weekend against a strong Portland defense.
There's the game sealer as Williams scores for the 4th time and Sioux Falls goes up 17. They would win 37-26. So Minnesota gets the win. Sioux Falls gets the win. Indianapolis gets the... Oh, what in the world happened in this one? Indianapolis doesn't even score a touchdown. 27-6 to the previously 2-8 Los Angeles Lycans, playing total spoiler. As I see that some of the stats didn't transfer over. So let's talk about Mike Scott, who is on the graphic. 6 tackles, 2 picks, including an 83-yard interception return for a touchdown. He was everywhere. LA's won 3 of 5 down the stretch. The Lycans taking some good momentum into next season.
Yeah, Lycans finishing strong, and credit to Los Angeles for their secondary. They stepped up. They've been exceptional all season long despite their record. And when you're going up against the #1 passing team in the league, they just had Indianapolis's number, and from the start of the game were able to shut their passing game down.
Indy least points in franchise history. You could see Roosevelt and Banfield still had great days, but a lot of everything else was shut down. And Los Angeles plays spoiler. Indy now on the outside looking in as we head into the final game of Week 13. Over to Queen City, where the Corsairs had a 17-0 lead at the end of the first quarter. Jet Zero got hurt again. 3rd time this season and was done for the day. Lakeman, another second half. We talked about this last week, Paul, where he just folded up shop in the second half, just could not figure it out. And Canton storms back. 2nd most points scored in franchise history. Robert Johnson was great. Cam Curtis spread the ball around. And after Canton has struggled offensively all season long, it was nice to see them pick things up, pick up a victory with 1 week left.
Most definitely, and when you're up 17-0 after the first quarter, for Canton to go on a 34-3 run and be able to shut Queen City's offense down virtually for the whole second half, that's how Canton's going to win games. And as we saw this weekend, that's how they did it.
Queen City falls to 0-11. They play Motor City the last week of the season. They are 2-9. So literally, Paul, the two teams at the bottom of the standings will take on each other. Should be a good game, right? Queen City trying to avoid something that only a couple of teams have ever done, go winless in an SFL season. It's just been tough for them. Not only they've been playing behind the 8 ball with the talent defensively in rebuilding, but then one of their best offensive weapons has just not been healthy. It's been unfortunate.
Yeah, when you lose one of your star players in 3 separate games, I know it's just 3 games out of the season, but someone like Jet Zero and how impactful he can be on his team, just unfortunate for the Corsairs this season.
Back to the highlights. Let's go to Sin City, where Las Vegas needed an awakening in the first half because they had players falling over and not knowing what they're doing, all sorts of madness. Ivory Irvin, I don't know what that dance was, but somebody teach me because I don't know any moves. Irvin knows something more than me, for sure. 3rd and 11 on the next possession. Eric Price, who was play-actioning all night, was just getting dumped. And this time, dumped by Troy LaShaw, who gets the interception. You can't do that against Baltimore. Sets him up with great field position. Warren Murray does the rest.
That is exactly what Warren Murray does. Score touchdowns and put points on the board for the Baltimore Vultures, the 3-time defending champs.
14-0. Eric Price on 3rd and 12. Notice all the 3rd and longs that Vegas was facing in this game. 21-0 already in the second quarter. Nate Brown ate Eric Price for breakfast, lunch, and dinner in this one. Finally, Max Jackson and this defense able to get something moving. Pretty return. Irvin ends up making the tackle, but that was the first signs of life from this Vegas team off that interception. Baltimore brings the blitz, and it eventually gets there. Nate Brown again. I mean, they just sticking him behind the sticks over and over and over in this first half. And Vegas eventually got things going in the third. Paul with his touchdown to Scott Johnson, but it's just too late.
Yeah, most definitely. When you're going up against the 8-2 Baltimore Vultures, to only have 3 points up at this point, it is most definitely too late.
Oh, my goodness. Warren Murray, that was the sickest run of the week. I have amnesia watching it because I totally forgot that it happened. That was just filthy, and why not give it back to Warren Murray to finish off the drive? Just disgusting. Baltimore gets the win, so they improved to 9-2. That would put pressure on Atlanta to win, but they faced no pressure whatsoever. They destroy Tulsa on national television 48-10 to remain the league's top team. 10-1 on the season. They clinch the number 1 seed next week with a Baltimore loss or a win over Florida. Both of those games will be Friday night to kick off Week 14 starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. Tulsa will take on Indianapolis. That will be our Sunday night game at 9 o'clock. Paul and I will be on the call for that one. And they have got to figure out how to get it together. Indy has to figure out how to get it together. And Paul, that should be a great game on Sunday. 2 desperate teams trying not to fall behind. Atlanta just took them to the woodshed.
Yeah, definitely going to be an interesting game next week against 2 of the best teams this season, kind of fallen down a little over the past few weeks, but definitely going to be interesting to see that one. As far as this matchup, Atlanta Swarm just going in and handling business, just being efficient. Bryant Dynasty, 25 of 32, 0 interceptions. BDG Hollywood hitting the century mark, 2 touchdowns. And hey, showing some love to Jamal Wooding, throw it to the tight end, 2 touchdowns for him as well. Just a truly exceptional game all around from the Swarm.
Atlanta pulled away in the second quarter, and they never looked back. Florida still alive in the playoffs. We'll get to all the many scenarios here in a moment, but first, back to the highlights where we go to those Florida Storm. How they stayed alive. Well, in the third quarter, they started to take charge. Philip Boletsky around the end makes it 20-14 Storm. Next possession for Trellis Blanton. Deep shot. Got Zach Patton. Seattle continues to play better football, trying to channel the old Seattle Tyrants days when they knocked off the Alaska Storm from their dynasty. But too much Florida in the second half. That pass picked off would lead to a field goal after Bullet Boletsky does more running. Paul, Seattle close. No cigar, falls to 3-8.
Yeah, definitely one of the toughest teams to go up against in the Florida Storm. Sure, their record may not show it this season, but a truly class act of an organization in Florida, and they just had Seattle's number this night.
Seattle didn't stop fighting. 12 seconds left. Blanton hits David Gears for the touchdown, and then almost recovered the onside kick. It was not to be. Florida now 5-6. Just don't die, do they? Everyone out there in SFL Nation saying, please no Florida, please, we can't have a mighty resurgence in season 20. Carolina at Denver. Talk about a resurgence. The Skyhawks playing their best football they've played maybe ever. Heath McDaniel Jr. with the touchdown puts Carolina up 7-3. This was their first trip ever to Denver in over 200 franchise games. 3rd and goal from the 2 just before the half, and O'Shaughnessy is stuffed, so Denver would have to settle for a field goal. Ike McBride just murdering victims. Touchdown. Carolina goes up 14-6. Just straight nasty.
And we saw last week, Ike McBride is not afraid of putting her shoulder down, and did it there and put 6 points up for your team. Just a great run and from a great player.
Ron Hoff did everything you have to do when you're on fire. Stop, drop, and roll on that one. Handoff on 4th and short. Why not, right? I mean, stay aggressive. You're out of the playoffs, but late in the game, Denver seemed disinterested. On 4th and 10, they punted the football away. With 2.5 to go, down 8. They never got the ball back. Carolina won 17-9. A weird way to end it, but the Skyhawks keep things moving, and they are rewarded by getting to the number 12 spot in the standings. Harish Prasad with a $3 super chat right on cue. Carolina. Yes, they are currently in the 12th spot. Looking over their tiebreakers, they have tiebreakers on about 5 of the 8 teams that they could potentially be tied with. They are in the best shape, but it is far from over, Paul. So let's start at the top of the standings and break it all down. Atlanta is your top seed. Again, they get the number 1 seed with a win or a Baltimore loss. Baltimore is number 2. They are pretty safe for a first-round bye, but nothing secure, because Minnesota, Fort Worth, and Arizona, all division leaders, are all just 1 game behind. Minnesota and Fort Worth are your 3 and your 4. Despite Minnesota still not clinching the Central, they have clinched a playoff spot. Arizona's your 5 seed. 8-3, they will take on Vegas. That game will be Saturday afternoon at 6:45 p.m. Eastern in the bonus of the TV block. The TV block features Houston and Alamo City. Arizona currently the 5, Vegas the 10 in the standings. Vegas is falling. They need a victory because that SOV is not doing them any favors, nor will it do them any favors if they are in a 7-5 logjam. Mexico City has the edge in common games over the Fury. They are 9th. Tulsa hanging on to 8th and hanging on to a first-round playoff game. Tulsa next would be your 8-9 matchup if the playoffs started today. San Diego, will see them on Impact Monday. They are in the 11th spot now, 6-4. Their SOV is problematic. They need all the wins that they can get. Right now, Indy is your first team on the outside looking in, followed by Houston, Louisiana, Alamo City. Off the graphic, you got DC at 5-5, Florida 5-6, Sioux Falls 5-6. They are all hanging on by a thread. Paul, if San Diego wins, all that goes away. DC, Florida, and Sioux Falls are out, and we whittle our playoff positioning down to 16.
Yeah, it's getting tight, Cam. A lot of teams, a little bit of a shift up. We finally see Carolina working their way into the playoff race after a extremely awesome season all around from them. They've had some big wins to put them in the position that they're in right now, and they are showing no signs of stopping anytime soon. And Indianapolis kind of last 2 weeks couldn't get it done, and next week's the game I've been saying for weeks now, Houston and Alamo City. That's going to be a great one. But hey, if San Diego can kind of make that gap a little bigger here next week, who knows how this season's gone and how it's going to finish. It's going to be great.
Other games that are relevant to the playoffs next week, Louisiana and San Diego play Saturday night. Louisiana takes on Jacksonville and San Diego plays Denver. 2 teams that are eliminated. Both those teams are at home, San Diego and Louisiana, as they try and take care of business. And then, of course, your Season 20 scenario show comes your way Saturday, April 15th at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. We will be up late, get some coffee, as we break down the remaining 16 scenarios. Houston, Alamo City, Saturday afternoon. Did I miss anybody? Mexico City and Fort Worth will be the last game of the season. The Aztecs trying to ensure that they make the playoffs for a 14th straight season. Fort Worth trying to secure a first-round bye. All sorts of stuff. It's going to chaos is going to reign on Monday night, next Monday. So that's a look at the standings, and that is your look at this week in the SFL. For Paul Sarp, I'm Cameron Irvine. Thanks for joining us. For our YouTube audience, DC and San Diego comes your way next. We'll have a preview of that coming up. And for our Next Level Sports audience, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Saturday for Alamo City and Houston for the right to stay alive in the playoff hunts. Thanks for watching.